Why is a salary a drug addiction and a death sentence? Well, for one thing, the salary grows at best linearly with the age, the number of years, but the social charges grow quadratically with age. So if you have a life insurance that costs you $100 per month when you're 20, it will cost you about $1,000 a month once you're 60. So no one's going to employ you unless you give up your health insurance. That's one. In order for your salary to keep increasing linearly with the time you spend in a company, typically that means that you get more and more specialized, and therefore you become more and more vulnerable to an economic downturn. It's also a death trap because the increasing time you spend working is time you don't spend with your loved ones, those who used to love you but don't love you anymore. Your children's, your parents, your siblings. You become a shell, which is what drugs do. How do you break that addiction? Oh my goodness, if you're really brave, you start your business soon. In my case, I was an enterprising little kid, was told not to by my mom, who had a lot of power over us. But basically, as long as I could feed my family, I was happy. And then one day my wife fired me, my children fired me, my parent died, and I lost it. So my employer laid me off. Called me back 3 years later, but I was gone at that point. I wasn't ready to come back to a 5-day work week. How can you stop competing and start creating? I think that's a false dichotomy. There's several concepts of competition, and one of them, the one I prefer personally, is that competition is there to make the other person better. Who's got my money? Well, without stating the obvious, who's got my money? Since I'm trying to target small businesses in the US or in Europe, and since there's about 30 million small businesses in the US, let's double that for the Europe. That's 60 million small businesses. If each one of them gave me $1, I'd be very set up, I think. So I would say this is where my money is. Teaching, I think my role is to teach computational thinking associated with AI to small businesses. See, that's what I'm trying to do. Voilà.